Blessed be the Lord God Jesus Christ, who was and is to come. Today, I'm here to talk about the flaws in the religion called Islam. You would have heard many people say that Islam is a very beautiful religion. Are you a Muslim, my dear friend? You are. So you have heard that Islam is a very beautiful religion, haven't you? Now, I, to a degree, agree with that. Islam is a beautiful religion. The fact is, it can be beautifully demonstrated to be wrong, to be a fabrication in history. And that's precisely what we are going to look at today. Now, of course, as a faithful Muslim today, you would be trying to follow your Rasulullah, the gem of all your prophets, Muhammad, wouldn't you be? Are you a Muslim, sir? Who is a faithful Muslim here? Any faithful Muslims? Young man, are you a faithful Muslim? You are. Please come over here. Have you come here with friends? Okay, but please come here. So you are a faithful Muslim. What's your name? Where are you from? From Bangladesh. Okay. So Saeed, our friend here from Bangladesh, says that he is a faithful Muslim. And according to Islam, of course, who is the most important person, Saeed, to you? Muhammad, like he rightly says, is the most important person. Do you not agree, my dear Muslim friend? So Muhammad is the most important person. And if you ask any Muslim, of course, they would simply agree with this, wouldn't they? Muhammad is the most important person. But what if I told you that for the first 50 years, or first 70 years, as a matter of fact, going up to 70, what you would call post-Hijrah. You know Hijrah? What is Hijrah? The migration from Mecca to Medina, yeah, which is a significant event in the life of Muhammad, as you would consider, wouldn't you? Now, what if I told you, for the first 70 years after Hijrah, no one in Arabia cared about Muhammad? What would you say? After Hijrah, for about 70 years, no one cared about Muhammad in Saudi Arabia, in his own homeland. What would you say?
It wasn't Saudi Arabia. There was no Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it wasn't Saudi Arabia at that time. I'm talking about the land today.
You're talking about Yathrib.
No, I'm talking about the wider land area of what is today known as Saudi Arabia.
In Najd, wait, 70 years
For
after
70
his
years.
death, after his death.
No, 70 years after Hijrah.
70 years after Hijrah, there was the Umayyads and the Rashid, Khilafat al-Rashida, the Rashidun Caliphate was already established.
That's very good. So what does our Muslim friend say, Saeed?
That Muhammad was known and respected within that 70-year time frame.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
So Saeed is led to believe that during that 70 years and later, of course, the Rashidun Caliphate was in place, and Muhammad was a well-revered person. That's what Saeed is led to believe. Have you explored the veracity of this belief, Saeed? Have you studied any particular archaeological or other evidence to find out if this is true, Saeed? Have you studied?
Yeah.
What have you studied?
The majority of the references to early Arabian tradition. In fact, the thing with the Arabs, right? They did not even have from historical report. There is no documentation of an Arab language before the year 500. Right? So the Arabic language in itself is very weakly documented.
No,
the Arab history is.
But you need to focus right now.
One second. Sure. So the Arab history that we have of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, yeah, the only source is, what is it? Hadith.
No. This is the brainwashing that has been going on for hundreds of years. Saeed, please bear with me. Please bear with me. What I'd like to do is actually walk you through some very interesting research material, research findings which came out only a couple of years ago. Can you see that? 2019. And this is a study on early Muslim identity through epigraphy and theory. What is epigraphy? These are writings on different surfaces. Okay, epi is on top, graphy is writing. Okay, writings on different surfaces. There has been a detailed study done on writings. So you have been led to believe that the hadiths are the main source of information about Muhammad in the 1st century after Hijrah. That's what you have been led to believe. But what I am going to show right now to you is, interestingly, no, that's not true. As a matter of fact, the hadiths don't come from the 1st century, they come from much later on. But what we rather have are even more fundamental evidence, in this particular case, archaeological evidence in the form of writings, rock engravings and so on, from the region of Saudi Arabia. Now, Sayyid, what would you do if I were to, as I go through this, if I were to demonstrate that in the first 70 years after the Hijrah, that no one cared about Muhammad as a person, whoever he was, number one, that Rashidun Caliphate is most likely did not exist.
One second, can I speak for a second?
Yeah, you can, please.
I know the claim. The claim is that the Abbasid court created the Islam, Quran and the story of Muhammad after the events. Okay, it's a made-up narration, right? From Abbasid court, they created the whole of Islam, and they implemented it and they converted everyone. The problem with that report, okay, is that we have the manuscript in Birmingham of the Quran, the Birmingham manuscript, which is dated to when? Do you know when it's dated to?
Pre-Muhammad.
Not pre-Muhammad.
Of course pre-Muhammad.
Okay, the initial claim...
Isn't the manuscript of Birmingham dated to pre-Muhammad?
No, okay, because first of all, when they do carbon dating, you know what carbon dating is?
I know what carbon dating is.
Tell me how they do it.
No. We are going to... No. Said, we are going to stick to what I have here today. Otherwise, we would be jumping from one point to another to another to another.
Sure, yeah.
What I'd like to do is to stay focused.
Okay, but in order for me to counter your evidence, I have to bring my evidence.
Absolutely, you can. Yeah. But can I please focus on this particular thing for some time now? Because then we will get a bit of clarity and then we can move on and add more clarity to our discussion. Yeah. So, bear in mind, the conclusions I am going to bring to you are, in 70 years after Hijrah, a person called Muhammad was of no interest to Muslims or to whoever appeared like Muslims in Saudi Arabia, in the native land of Islam. Point number one. Point number two, Rashidun Caliphate, most likely, from what we find here, most likely did not exist. And that's simply because the very idea of a caliph, what does the word caliph mean? Exactly, the very idea, caliph, the word caliph means successor to Muhammad. This is the idea, caliph. Yeah, you've heard the name caliph, yeah? What we're going to talk about is, through the writings here, we are going to find out that people didn't even care about Muhammad, and therefore neither did they care about a succession to Muhammad. Those two are completely alien things to them as far as evidence goes. That's what we are going to find out. So, let's read. So I am going to this particular study. Please document this if you wanted to. We're talking about a study of 100 rock engravings. We're going to go through around 100 of them, but of course, as time permits. What I am going to say is, in the period of 20 AH to 70 AH, we find just about 15 engravings, 13 to be accurate. So let's please read a few of them. Saeed, please come here and help me out. The historically first attested epigraphy, a rock engraving which is from a normal person in Saudi Arabia, is here. Can you see that? Recorded as in 23 AH post Hijrah, yeah? And this one is of not much use for us, because what it says simply is something very primitive, not much material use to us. Salima wrote in 23. That's all it says. We don't know anything else from that engraving, so we can't use that. That's fair enough. The second one also, it's hard to make use of that. Please focus here. 24 AH, Sayyid. What does that one say?
The name of Allah.
Yeah.
So he wrote this at the time when Umar died in the year 24.
Okay, so there is a mention about a person called Umar. No qualification given to him. No qualification given to him. Name in the name of Allah, and then the only other reference we find is to a person called Umar. That's all we find there. We're going to now move on. Please, if you could help me out. So, what other writing do we find? Can you please read this, Sayyid?
Which one?
This one is in 46. Here.
اللهم اغفر لعبد الله بن جيران. God forgive Abdullah ibn Duyram. It was written, he wrote in Muharram Okay, I don't know what.
Yeah, so essentially references Allah, but no reference to Muhammad. No reference to Muhammad so far, as you can find. So, if we can please bear with me for a second here, please. Please read this. What do we find here? Say it.
In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate, the great Prophet Abd al-Rahman ibn Khair al-Hajri. Okay. We ask forgiveness for him when
Oh God, forgive him.
Yeah, okay. Oh God, forgive him and let him be your mercy, and also him ask forgiveness for him when his inscription is recited, and say Amen, Amen.
Any reference to Muhammad so far?
No. I mean, this is how long? I'm not wrong.
But is there any reference to Muhammad so far? Okay, let's read this. Let's read this. This is very important. 58 after Hijrah in Saudi Arabia, Al-Taif, near Al-Taif, we find this. If you can please help me out, Sayyid. This dam belongs to the servant of God, Muawiyah, the commander of the believers. Very interesting. How is Muawiyah called here? No. How is he called here? Yes, the commander of the believers. No. Wait a second. Commander of the believers is one title versus a follower or a descendant of Muhammad. What does the term Caliph mean?
Khalifa is a successor.
Successor of Muhammad. So when you mention the name Caliph, a Caliph, the successor of Muhammad means much more than a commander, doesn't it? A mere commander is not any successor. Are you with me so far? No, the point is, if you were to mention about Muawiyah, and if you were to give an accurate description of his role, his office, what would that be? Exactly. If you were to give reference to Muawiyah and reference to his office, the primary idea you would use is that he is a caliph, successor to Muhammad, in an official engraving especially. But what do we find here? What do we find here, Sayyid? Oh God, forgive the servant. Sorry. This dam belongs to the servant of God, Muawiyah. And what is the qualification given in an official documentation?
Are you trying to say Muawiyah was not the caliph?
Now, what I am saying is, in an official document, in an official engraving, if you were to describe Muawiyah, what would that be according to Islam today?
Well, there's a difference of opinion, because I take the opinion, right, that Ali, you know Ali, was the caliph after Uthman. And after Ali, it was Al-Hassan. And then it was Muawiyah. So Muawiyah was not the caliph until Al-Hassan passed away.
But whoever was the caliph was the commander of the army also, in Islam.
But the thing is, there was a fight between Ali and Muawiyah.
I know, but I'm not talking about the fitna. I'm not talking about the civil war that happened. I'm not talking about Shia Sunni divisions and so on at the moment. My focus right now is on the simple historical claim that if you were to describe a caliph according to Islamic tradition, what would the term that you would use? If it is an official documentation bringing out details concerning him, how would you describe him?
It depends, because you know the letter that Muawiyah sent to the ruler of Rome, right? He said, "Min Amir al-Mu'minin ila Qaisar Rum." He said, he called himself the commander of the faithful.
Exactly, that is precisely my point. When the opportunity was ripe, Sayyid, for the caliph to speak out, the identity that he needed to portray, that he needed to pass on, give out, was the fact that he was the successor of Muhammad, if that were indeed the case. But what we find is that he simply says that he was the commander of the army of the believers. That's all he says concerning himself. Do you see a problem there? Well, I see a problem. In a historical... Okay, let's put it this way. You know the Prime Minister of our nation here today, Liz Truss. Yeah? If she were to write a very important letter, please pay attention here. If she were to write a very important letter to the President of the United States, how would she identify herself? As the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister writes a letter to a foreign dignitary, it would make sense that the Prime Minister would identify herself as the Prime Minister. But what if, when Liz Truss writes a letter, she only says that she was a member of the Parliament in the United Kingdom? What problem do we have? Sayyid, please help me out.
It's different, but it's not.
No. This is the same thing.
I let you talk a long time.
I know, but you need to stick to the point I'm trying to make. If Liz Truss were to write a letter, please say it. If Liz Truss were to write a letter to the President of the United States, and if she identifies herself only as a member of the Parliament, what problem do we have?
Okay, the thing is, it's not the same thing.
It's very much the same thing.
Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why?
Okay, please.
Firstly, Liz Truss saying she's a member of the Parliament does not denote that she's the head of the state. Alright? Correct or not?
Yes, it doesn't imply.
It does not denote that she's the head of the state. But when you have the title Al-Amir, what's Al? It's the definitive article. There's only a singular. Al-Amir, Al-Mu'minin, there's a singular, it's a single, the commander of the faithful. That title was reserved for who? Abu Bakr, Umar, wa Uthman, wa Ali, wa Hassan, wa Hussein, wa Muawiyah. Then the rest, right? It's reserved for the caliph.
No.
Every letter.
You are not sticking to my point here.
Every letter.
The point is, commander of a particular army.
No, it's not army. Amir is not. Do you know what Amir means? Do you speak Arabic?
Please stick to. You don't have to speak Arabic to understand what Emir is.
Yes,
you just need to know what United Arab Emirates is for you to understand what the word Emir means.
Tell me what Amir means.
Please say it. Please understand what I am trying to say here. And a commander of a particular army.
It's not an army.
No. Please, I'm trying to make a different point here. A commander of a particular army. When I say I am a commander of a particular army, what kinds of things do you have in your mind about me? That I am the commander of an army. I lead an army. I command an army. When I say it, I obey. That's all is in your mind, isn't it? But to say that I am the follower of Muhammad, a descendant of Muhammad, I am the one who has taken over the reins from the shoulders of Muhammad. What does that mean to you, Caliph? What does that mean to you?
I finally understand what you're trying to say.
Exactly. Please explain to me. What would that mean to you?
The problem here, okay?
No. Please answer me.
Can I tell you the problem?
No. But before you go to the problem, please stick to my question. Explain to me, if I were to say I am a caliph, what picture do you have in your mind?
You know, it's trust, yeah?
Say it, please answer my question.
To be denoted as the head of state, does she have to say I'm the successor of Boris Johnson? No, she doesn't. Does her not saying I'm the successor of Boris Johnson basically remove his existence?
If you say you are the Prime Minister today,
yeah, you don't have to say
you are automatically understood to be
well done,
the successor of David Cameron.
Well
but if you say you are the commander of a particular army in a public document, it doesn't automatically mean you're following a particular person called Muhammad in history.
Amir does not mean you're commander of an army, it means you're commander of a nation. Listen, when Muhammad
commander of the believers, it does not explain the idea that you have succeeded Muhammad.
Yeah, why does it have to?
Would you? Are you willing to say? Okay, let me put it this way. Yeah. Technically speaking, who is the first caliph?
Abu Bakr.
Who did he follow? Muhammad. So Muhammad is the first person to be followed by a caliph. Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't use that term.
What's that?
They didn't use that term when they gave him the bay'ah. Okay, you know what bay'ah is? Do you know what bay'ah is?
Say it. Say it.
Bay'ah, do you know what Ahl Saqifa is? Do you know what Saqifa is?
Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Now, I don't want your fancy ideas. What I am saying is a simple thing, and that is, when you go back to archaeological artifacts before 70 AH do not have this idea that a particular person is a caliph. And that is simply because they also don't have the idea that there was a particular person called a prophet, Muhammad. This is the reality you need to deal with.